What's going on, everybody? So today I am answering this question, or these questions. And basically the questions ask what happened to the dog. So in some of my prior videos, you guys can see that I had a service dog, and you can see him in some of these pictures here. So this service dog came to me when I was in the hospital, 2017, about midway of my 14-month stay in the hospital. And when he came to me, he was 6 months old, but let's rewind. So when I was in the hospital, I was in really bad shape, and I got to a point where I was really depressed. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want lights on. I didn't want to watch TV. I didn't want to do wound care. Everything was just excruciating. I was in excruciating pain. It was tough for me. Everything just sucked. You know what I'm saying? I even contemplated like not being here anymore. You know what I'm saying? That seemed like a better alternative to being in the hospital. And one day, this dog just walked in, and it was astonishing to me because I was in the 3rd floor of the Grady Burn Center. And that is the area where it's like everybody's super masked up. They got on all of these things, this protective clothing. They got booties on their feet. The reason they do that because for burn patients, you are more susceptible to any type of disease. So every time somebody came in, they were like some type of NASA worker or something like that. So to see a dog walk in, knowing that I'm on the 3rd floor and I'm all exposed, even though, you know, I got all my wounds are wrapped up, it was amazing for me because when I seen the dog was just, the ears was up, you know, the tail was wagging, it was excited, it was pulling its own and trying to get to me. And then when it got to me, it put its paws up on the bed to try to get to me. And I was so amused and so excited because a dog can't fake its emotions, you know? So, you know, this was like its pure reaction to me, wanting to see me actually in the condition that I was in. It didn't care. The dog didn't care that I was missing an arm. It didn't care that I was all burnt up and my face was all jacked up and you know, my wounds are open. You know, it just wanted to get to me and spread joy and love. So that was very exciting to me. And my doctors and nurses, when they seen this, I haven't, at this point of being in the hospital, I haven't smiled in months. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't, there was no, you know, there was no hope at that point of, you know, me making it out of this positive, you know, with a positive, you know, on a positive note. So when they seen this, they got the bright idea like, hey, he really, you know, got a reaction. We got a reaction out of him from these dogs. You know, we got to do something with this. So, this was a new program at Grady, and they were bringing these therapy dogs in. They had seen other floors. I was the first person that they've ever visited on the 3rd floor. So they started making regular visits to the 3rd floor to see me. And one particular day, I just so happened to be doing wound care, and my wound care took hours, you know what I'm saying? Because they had to open up all of these dressings that they closed the previous day, and then they got to scrub the wounds, and they got to clean them, and then they got to redress them. And it was a rough event. It was excruciating. I usually fought the nurses and the doctors, and I was screaming. It was a lot, you know, it was very painful. And this is a event that took hours, and most of the days I would put it off, you know, because I had to have wound care every day. I would put it off for so long that I would try to see if I can get past the morning nurses, and then until the evening nurses come in, and the evening nurses didn't do wound care. So by that time, you know, I would maybe have escaped wound care, but that just made it worse for the next day, because now these wounds that, you know, they done got hard, which they usually get hard, but these now they done got really hard and crusty, and now when they pull it off, you know, the next day, it's more blood and more guts and more pain, and it was horrible. But this particular day, you know, after they started regularly bringing in the dogs, I did wound care, and like normal, it took hours. And when I finished up, I was like, hey, where the dogs? And the nurse was like, oh, I'm sorry, you missed them today. They were here, but, you know, they came around too. You were in wound care. And yeah, they stayed for a while, but, you know, eventually they had to go. And man, when I tell you I was upset, you know, I had to have a huddle with all my nurses and doctors. I was like, hey, from now on, y'all hit me first. Y'all come in here, as soon as y'all clock in, y'all come to this room, y'all hit wound care, and y'all better be wrapped up by the time the dogs get here. And that was crazy for them to hear, right? And for me, you know what I'm saying, it went from don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me in the previous wound cares, and don't touch that, and screaming all that to, hey, come on, unwrap, let's go, scrub, get in it. You know what I'm saying? To me helping out, like, you going too slow, let me do it. And pulling all of these bandages off, and now these wounds, it was horrible, but I started to get through it. My mindset changed, and wound care started getting faster, you know what I'm saying? And because now I'm in this positive spirit, it seemed like my wounds started healing faster. And eventually, they had a bright idea. This lady named Michelle, who was over the program, she had a bright idea. She was just like, maybe we need to get him his own service dog. And when they initially came to me about the idea of the service dog, they was like, hey, what do you think about service dog? I was so ignorant to what a service dog was. The only thing that my mind was, telling me of was like a seeing eye dog. I was like, I ain't blind. I don't want no, what do I do with a service dog? Now, I love animals, but I just, at the point, didn't know the true meaning of what a service dog was. So, and then they explained it to me, and then this lady named Kimberly, who's over Paws for Life, she explained it to me and showed me all the capabilities of a service dog. I seen videos of service dogs, like reviving people with doing chest compressions. So obviously no mouth to mouth, but just doing chest compressions to helping patients, their owners, when they have seizures, to bringing them food for those who wasn't able to get around, to hearing different alarms and getting certain things, bringing medicine. And she basically explained at the point, that they would train the dog to what it is that I needed. Whatever it was that I needed, they would train the dog to do that. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Then that's when I ended up getting a dog, and he was a Native American Indian dog, a Nade. It's not a dog that I even heard of prior to this program, but his name was Håkon. He was named prior to me. I didn't name him, but he came in, and it was one of the dogs that I kind of picked out at the time, and he was about 6 months old. He was huge already. At 6 months, he was over 100 pounds, so he was a big dog. And at that point, I was not really walking, but in the phase of like transitioning to try to get into a chair almost, or really getting put in the chair. I wasn't getting in the chair, but the dog was trained to pull my left side. I know this looks like my right hand in the video, but it was trained to pull my left side of my wheelchair, and I would roll with my right hand, and he would just pick up for the slack. So because I couldn't do both, if something dropped off my lap, he would pick it up, give it back to me. He would give me medicine. Those are the things that he was trained to do. He helped me stretch out in certain videos. You'll see pictures of me like stretching my foot out, and he was trained to, help me do those type things. And then eventually, when I did get to the point where I was kind of walking, he was supposed to be a dog that was big enough to where I could put my right hand down and balance on him. And he was strong enough to, as long as I get right behind his shoulder blades, for me to balance as I walked, for him to provide, balance and mobility. So that's what he was trained to do. Now, what's special about that is that I did end up getting better. I did get stronger. And my mindset was, when I used to lay in that hospital bed and I used to see him down at the edge of my bed once he became my service dog, and I would just see him laying there, I started to think, I was just like, dang, like, he sits here with me all day and he don't get the run. He don't get the fetch. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what dog don't want to run? Like, I just couldn't imagine a dog not being able to run. In my mind, I was like, it's got to be a really miserable life for a dog, you know what I'm saying, to not be able to run. So I was like, I gotta do something. I gotta get better. I gotta get up to walk, to run, so I could run with him, So that became my motivation. And that really just like forwarded my mind, and I was like, we got to get it, So now I'm out of rehab. It's only lasted 2 weeks. So I'm not really walking, but I'm just trying to get stronger. And in my mind, I gotta go, and it's not to get back to walking, but to get back to running, So we fast forward a couple months. Now he's about a year old. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm getting around. Like, it ain't super pretty. My legs are still kind of contracted from the burns and stuff, but I'm moving, trying to do something. And it got to the point where I am kind of like moving kind of fast, what I like to call the ass and elbows. I'm doing the ass and elbows.